You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. All right, folks, let's talk about, again, what it means when we own our stuff. Yesterday, of course, marked the first anniversary of Roland Martin Unfiltered. And it's been a really interesting day because, you know, all these ADOS people, people who ain't got no damn sense. So Angela Rye sent a tweet out congratulating us on the show, and all these trolls came out the woodworks questioning our numbers, saying, oh, these numbers are lying, how can you prove it? And I said, well, first of all, y'all must be pretty dumb, because if you go to YouTube or Facebook or Periscope, the number is right there in the bottom left-hand corner.
They can't reroll.
Now just get a damn calculator and add it all up. But you probably want to do that. And so just for the folks who missed this, and people, we don't really talk a lot about our podcast, but we actually take this show, we have an audio podcast. Here we go to my iPad. So in the course of a year, we had 455,928 plays of our podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, as well as TuneIn. Now, this was the total number when it came to our actual video views, 100.7, 100,730,126. Now, the minutes viewed of this show, 434,989,797. Now, people told me there was no way in the world we could make this thing happen. It couldn't get done. Oh my God, what are you doing? There's no way you can make money, when in fact, we actually generated more than $700,000 in revenue the first year of this show. Now, why am I saying all of that? Because the reality is we have to learn what it means to monetize our culture. I told y'all when I was watching the Sam Cooke documentary on Netflix, and you saw the story about how his manager pretty just stole his music rights from underneath him, put the company in his name where essentially Sam Cooke was working for him, okay? We can show you numerous black musicians who lost their publishing rights because it was stolen by white managers and accountants and business managers. If you read Luther Campbell's book, you will understand how his music company was stolen from him by a white executive who he hired, who used the bankruptcy laws to steal his company out from underneath him. We're talking about the history of black folks as well when it came to owning land. I can go down the line describing all of these different things. But here we have a situation now in America where everything black folks touch is gold. We change the view of hair and clothes and style and music, yet for a lot of us, we're giving it away. I'm gonna go back to Luther Campbell. If you read his book, he describes this scene, he had a concert, and then when the concert was over, he was sitting there counting all his money. And one of the rappers from New York said, man, what are you doing? He said, I'm counting my paper. See, they had signed deals, licensing deals for somebody else to handle their merchandise for $2,500 and $3,000. Luke figured out, I could sell my own shit and get paid direct. He was making $25,000, $30,000 per show selling his own merchandise. That's called monetizing your own culture. Last year, the Global Hope Forum in Atlanta, there was a panel featuring several entertainers, including John Bryant, the founder and CEO of Operation Hope. And this is what T.I. had to say about this subject of monetizing our culture.
There's a lot to be said, you know, to your point. Hip-hop transcends culture, religion, age. It's truly diverse, and it's the #1 genre, like, in the world. Hip-hop is the most influential genre in the world. It brings in more profits than any other, than country music, rock and roll, R&B. Like, hip-hop is the thing that brought the world together. If you can't agree on anything else, you can agree that, you know, when 50 Cent in the club come on, you know, y'all, everybody dancing together. We can be arguing and we ain't gonna agree on the same football team, basketball team, but when Nothing But a G Thing, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg come on, everybody, you know what I'm saying? So hip hop has brought the world together, and I think that because we are artists, and we operate from the most artist-driven part of the brain. That kind of, it gives us a different capacity when it comes to our financial planning, because a lot of us take much, much more significant risks because of our belief in our art. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you have people like, for instance, Kanye. You know, Kanye, they said that he was, you know, in a place of financial discrepancy, but what he did was, that's because he chose to put all of his money into his art. All of his money, he said, if I'm gonna bet on anything, I'm gonna bet on me. I can't convince them to see what I see. I can't convince you to see what I see, but I know what my art can do. I know what my work can do. So even though it's unconventional, even though it may come at some just highly disagreed upon opinions, I'm still going to do this and believe in belief of myself. And now we see what Kanye is because of that mentality. Now, there are a lot of other people who ain't exactly Kanye who did the same thing, and they didn't come out so well. But
in that, he later talked about, again, how do you monetize our culture? And the reason that sort of resonated, because, see, when I had my TV One News One Now show, I was actually buying my own equipment. In fact, after my first job in the business, I never wanted to be in a situation where the company owned the equipment, so if I left or I got fired, then I'm sort of stuck out. So I always bought my own stuff, had my own cameras, had my own printers. I remember when I left the Dallas Weekly, they were like, what the hell happened? Because they were like, oh, that computer, the printer, and the camera, Roland owned all of that. So that was the same view. And so when News One Now ended, the reason why I wasn't sweating this whole thing, because I had actually bought my own cameras, my own switcher. I had my whole infrastructure where I could keep doing my thing without TV One, because I own stuff they didn't own. Some of y'all gonna get that. Why is that important? Because it's called betting on yourself. So I would dare say, before we launched this show, I may have spent probably $200,000 on my own equipment. Greg Carr, why this is important is because the part of the problem I think that we get into, which is one of the issues that we have, we talk about how do we create wealth, is that we still operate by this whole notion of white validation, that it's not a real show unless it's on MSNBC or CNN or one of the different networks, when in fact, you look at this product, it can compete with any of those different folks as well. I had somebody tell me, man, why, you know, you didn't wear T-shirt and shorts when you were at TV One. Why you wearing it now? Because I own this shit.
And they need to be buying that shirt.
But here's the piece, though. But see, let me see again, though. Somebody said, why you wearing T-shirts and shorts? But y'all don't ask Mark Zuckerberg why he wear a hoodie and T-shirts.
How about that? Or Bill Gates. That's right.
See,
that's right.
Again, but and the point here is, people were like, well, why don't you take this somewhere else? Why? And I'm telling you, and like last night, I was watching the Motown documentary on Showtime. And while I'm watching it, my thought is going, did black folks make the documentary?
Oh.
Did our company make it? And so what I'm trying to get us is everybody wants our stuff. We have to accept the reality that we can make the documentary, we can make the show.
That's right.
Just like they can.
That's right. You know, Roland, it's fascinating you say that. Again, but you're always thinking like that. You're saying who owns it, whether it's intellectual capital. We just heard from Cassandra Newby Zander. She's at a black institution. You're conscious in putting institutions. Individuals cannot defeat institutions. And when you say that we need to think that way, not only are you absolutely correct, let's tie it to the segment that you've now established every week, the 1619 segment. In the years immediately following the Civil War, in fact, beginning during the Civil War, after the first Confiscation Act, in the Sea Islands, the same ones that are getting slammed now by the hurricane, Africans, through Rufus Saxton and General Sherman and them, this whole 40 acres and a mule business, took over the plantations that they had been forced to work as enslaved people, and began, the first thing they did was say, no more cotton. So they broke all the cotton gins. Then they planted tomatoes, potatoes, corn for sustenance crop.
Okra.
Then, yeah, okra, absolutely. Then the Civil War generals said, and Lincoln tried to rescind this, but Saxton kept going. They said, look, in order to break the South, we're going to deprive them of the profit from that crop. let those Africans stay on the land. My point is they then began to develop parcels of land, and then when they sold the land to white speculators, some of these black folks had figured out a way to monetize that crop to get enough money to buy some of that land. And they parlayed that into land that is still in the hands of some black families on the Sea Islands and in Georgia and Florida. I'm saying all that to say this. What you're talking about, what T.I. is talking about, what I see Nick Cannon do, Nick is at Howard now. I watch this cat. If you want to do business with Nick Cannon, he's like you. You got to contract with him. He's not going to work for you. What I see y'all doing, what this show represents, is not us doing something new. It's a return to the thing that we always did. In some kind of way, we got our heads twisted around during integration.
Julian, last night, actually the last 2 nights, I was on this text message, and it was a sister who, not from here, but who relates with black culture. And I was walking her through all this history. And I said, what I'm doing is what Robert Abbott did with the Chicago Defender.
Yes.
Right. I said what A.I. Scott did with the Atlanta Daily World. What Ida B. Wells Barnett did, Frederick Douglass. I said William Monroe Trotter. We can go down the whole line. I said, because the key is this. I said, if we did not have those black institutions that were black owned, Abbott didn't give a damn what the Colonel was doing with what McCormick was doing with the Chicago Tribune. He didn't care. But the difference is this here. Black folks bought the Defender.
That's right.
Black folks said, we have to pay for that. So they had the ability to send staffers around the world because black folks funded it. What happens now, which is just grating to me, is that we have people who say they want black ownership, but then they want white advertisers or white media companies or other folks to foot the bill and say, why can't we get it for free? And that, to me, is the danger, because then whoever pays the piper is the one who controls the product.
The free press it's not free unless you paid for it. I mean, I admire what you've done, Roland. I think it's really important. And I think it's important in the historical context. Let's look at 1880, when black wealth to white wealth, the ratio was 1 black dollar for 36 white dollars. By 1910, it had dropped to 1 black dollar for 16 white dollars. In other words, black people post enslavement were making economic progress. That's a period in which Ida B. Wells was able to fund her newspaper.
That's right.
The period in which Trotter and all those were able to fund their newspaper. All black people were not on the same page. You saw a lot of tension. With
Martin Delaney, all of them, they disagreed.
But they all believed, and you can go back to 1836, we said, let us plead our own cause. And that was the bottom line. So now, every lottie-dottie, everybody wants to be on the air. Me too, but just saying. But the fact of the matter is, you will be censored if you're on the majority press.
No question.
There will be some things you cannot say. I did something very recently. They said, we need you to go light. I don't know what Malvo light is. But it's like, we need you to go.
Other than light skin, that's about it.
Stop it.
What? Hold up. Method Man could be watching. Remember he said,
true.
Remember he said, he said, who's the older red bone with the red hair?
Don't light up Johnny Blaze tonight.
But the point is that majority press has a narrative.
Yeah.
Even Nicole Hannah-Jones with the 1619 in the New York Times, you saw the splashback they got from that. How dare they try to rewrite the narrative? Well, we are not rewriting the narrative, we are writing the narrative. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that black people had economic agency absent the 40 acres and a mule.
That's right.
Until evil white people started passing laws to take our stuff away from us.
Very true.
Lynching was not about raping white women. Lynching was about economic envy.
That's
the
right.
first lynching that Ida B. Wells documented was because a black man opened up a grocery store across the street from a white man.
That's right. It's called
and all the black people, all the black people started going there.
That's right.
Then 2 little boys got into a fight over some marbles, which was their excuse. They always had an excuse. So they would go shoot up the black people's grocery store over some boys having a fight over marbles, and then lynch 3 black men, one of whom was Ida B. Wells' godchild's dad, and one of the first black postmen, which was a serious job for black people at that time. Absolutely. So when I've been studying this stuff, which is driving me nuts. That's why I'm already crazy, and it got crazier. Because when you start reading about lynchings, you just go like,
It makes you sane.
but like lynching black men because they own cars, lynching people because they had businesses. Now, I mean, not the little petty stuff about lynching people because they didn't cross the street, but because you own shit. Excuse my language. In Florida, brother owned 40 acres of orange grove,
Right.
lynched. And so let's just be clear about why this lynching occurred and why African-American economic accumulation is so threatening to predatory capitalism.
So Cleo, when you look at Chance the Rapper, reads his record, reads his contract, and realizes that if he gives him a mixtape, he then is done with the recording contract, and then he then goes out and says, fine, I can now just do distribution deals. That's exactly what Prince told them
No question.
20 years previously when he said, stop being a slave to the record labels. When you saw people who realized that, wait a minute, okay, no, I'm gonna write my own music because Smokey Robinson getting paid like crazy. I was talking to Frankie Beverly at the Cincinnati Music Festival, and in essence, the people said, Frankie, you mad at Beyonce? She did Before I Let Go. He said, hell no. Do you know how much money she's made me?
No
Because
question.
I own the publishing.
No question.
And so what T.I. is talking about is what we create, what we develop. We should be not getting a licensing deal. No, I want the whole piece. I'm not trying to sit here and play this game, but a lot of this still is this notion of white validation. Oh, in their eyes, oh, I'm seen as big, and I'm like, that's great, but guess what? You might have a show on those networks, but you ain't controlling and owning that show.
That's right. I'm glad you mentioned Prince because one reason I was so heartbroken when he died, because he was literally one of the most powerful black artists that ever lived. He owned everything, and he finally got Purple Rain back, and that's why people were skeptical
Got his masters.
about him dying right after, because he finally became the owner of his most greatest work. But I also heard, and this is relevant, that you're going to be doing work around deprogramming. You're going to do some deprogramming.
You know we're going to do that.
Okay, because we need to do that. Because back in the day, when people were supporting Defender and when IDB was around, we were less confused.
Yeah.
We were more clear. There were no arguments about white evil.
Right.
It was like, when is it going to happen next? Right now, there's arguments among black people about white evil. When you have conversations about black people, supporting black people, somebody will say, well, all white people aren't bad. Nobody said they were. Why are you coming to an abstract white rescue project that's not relevant to the direct conversation? Because we've been trained to look at them as
Because we don't look at structure. Structure.
But even when black people have structure, for example,
No, economic structure, political structure. We don't look at the structure. Forgive me for interrupting you, but it's, when people say, oh, all white people aren't evil, I wouldn't say all white people are evil. I say that the structure of predatory capitalism, which supports white supremacy. That's what's evil.
And that's important, but I want us to understand that we need to purge that impulse to run to the rescue of white folks. It's an unconscious training that comes out of a lot of things, including the mythological white Jesus. And some of the stuff that Roland has heard about, why you doing this, why you doing that, when other white folks are doing the same thing, but why you doing it has to do with...
And in fact, let me help you out. So somebody asked me, they said, man, y'all did great numbers. I said, let me be clear. We didn't buy a single ad. We didn't do a single boost. But here's the other piece. Not one media outlet would do a story on me launching my own show. Now, I look at these media sites. I look at all of them. TV Newser, Mediaite, Multi-Channel. Look at all of them. And I see stories on this white boy who launched a YouTube show, or this white woman who's over here doing something. I see all these stories, and my publicist literally, in the first 4 months of this show, could not get a story done.
Why not? I
said, oh, because one, their own bias. Then it's also who he think he is.
Exactly.
And that's why I said, baby, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
We just gonna do the work.
Exactly.
And let's be clear, there were black outlets.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Who would not do stuff. And I said, don't worry about it. I said, because we gonna show the concept works. Now people are going. Now that's why I laugh, and the reason I keep smacking these ADOS people, because literally they've been on my timeline all day. Check the numbers, and I'm like, get a calculator. I'm like, if y'all want to have this debate,
Roland, them people can't count.
No. But again, though, the reason I talk about the whole deprogramming deal, I said, how can y'all be about black liberation and black freedom and black consciousness? I said, but I'm doing what y'all say, and I love this one here. They were like, well, you old black media. I said, well, my numbers are better than your new black media, because what they can't stand is that when you're unbought and unbossed, you're even that way with some black people.
And that's why black people need to understand that we need to be deprogrammed. We should be excited about what Roland's doing. We should be glad he had 3 numbers, let alone 3 million numbers.
Right.
We should be glad he exists.
We had 100 points.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. He has 100 points.
100.7
The bottom line is that
million.
why we even,
Right.
this is not a rhetorical question. The question is why we even hating and saying, well, he don't got no numbers. That's anti-black. I don't care how many Pan-African
But you
outfits
know-
you got and how many
Because here's the deal. Here's the deal, Cleo.
If you're trying to throw doubt into what he's
Cleo.
doing, it's anti-black.
But here's the deal. Hold on. But here's the deal, though. There are people who hate on me, and I've said to them, go do you.
Right.
Do your show.
Right.
Radio, I said, I ain't got to watch you. I said, but do you. I said, I ain't dogging you. Knock yourself out, because my deal is, if you're talking to a segment and you're serving them, that's great. That's fine. But what I'm not going to do, though, is I'm not going to let folks try to denigrate something, because, again, the larger picture is, like, that was at one point in the late 1800s, literally there were 10,000 black newspapers.
Yes, sir.
That was started in a 30-year period.
That's right.
Between 1850 and 1900.
That's right.
10,000.
Because we believed in controlling our own information. And so,
But
I mean,
we didn't believe we were God, though.
But my
That was the
line
problem.
always
We didn't
is
believe we were God. That's
everybody
always
brown
keeps
ain't
that
down.
risk.
So, these ADOS folks.
But here's the deal, though. But again, though, I don't mind them doing what they do. Go right ahead. Because I ain't dogging you. Knock yourself out. But what I'm trying to get our people to understand is that, so it's all, because another thing is this here, which T.I. also deals with, because musicians have done this, how they collaborate. I've said it. Every major black media company, I went to them before we launched this show.
Right.
Nobody wants to do anything.
Right.
I talked to folks since we launched it. Nobody wants to do anything. And I'm looking at them going, y'all ain't got nothing like what we're doing.
But they can't do what.
Which is why vision.
They're not free. They're not free.
well,
the issue
But we
is that they're
need to,
anti-black.
but we need
they're
to
not
learn.
free.
But we need to learn to understand that. Let me tell you something. Rupert Murdoch sold his Fox Entertainment interest to Disney for I think it was like $70 billion. See, they ain't got no problem. Look, Bob Iger is a big-time Democrat.
Sure.
Rupert Murdoch is a big-time conservative. But guess what? When Obama was in there, Murdoch was kissing up to Obama.
No question.
For them, it's about money. And what I'm trying to get black folks to understand is we are 24 years away from America being the nation majority of people of color.
Right.
We are seeing black people, black ad agencies going extinct. You know why? Because what used to be black dollars became multicultural dollars.
Yep.
And the white ad agencies had no problem. They're like, okay, you know what? Y'all can handle the multicultural dollars, but here's the problem. It used to be mainstream. Let me help y'all out. Let me walk y'all through. It was black, multicultural, mainstream, which means white.
And that's.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me explain it.
Yes, sir.
Black, multicultural, mainstream, which means white. There were 3 buckets. Black got merged with multicultural. So then it was multicultural dollars and mainstream, which is white. Here's what happened. Demographics change. What was multicultural is now mainstream.
That's right.
So now the mainstream firms, okay, so when the let me see, help out loud. Let me go back. Black, multicultural, mainstream, which is white. Multicultural increases, moves out black people. So now black people are now fighting Latinos and others for the same crumbs. Mainstream is sitting here saying, okay, y'all can have, that's crumbs to us. Demographics change. Guess what? Black and Latino now getting frozen out because mainstream said we're going to gobble up what y'all got because, see, what y'all got is going to overtake ours one day.
Right.
So what's the problem? Again, let me unpack it. The black folks who worked for agencies and the black people who worked in corporate America knew the black ad agencies. The black ad agencies knew the black media people. They understood what we can do and our power and leverage. The problem you have right now, white control ad agencies, most of them European, they pretty much bought up all of them. They don't know black people. They don't know me. They don't know that black newspaper. They don't know Tom Joyner. They just look at metrics and numbers. So the problem is your black ad agencies are now withering on the vine. What does that mean? If your black ad agencies wither on the vine, black media is not going to be withering on the vine.
Right.
Unless folks see the larger picture and say, no, we have to sound the alarm because this is the game they're playing, folks, because I want y'all to hear me. What they're saying is we don't need to buy Roland's show or Tom Joyner or Harvey or Ricky Smiley or Essence or Ebony or Black Enterprise because they also watch TNT.
Right.
And TBS
Right.
and ABC.
That's right.
So we can get them
That's right.
by giving the money to ABC.
That's
right.
Even though we know black people watch both, but watch one totally differently
That's right.
than the other.
That's right.
So we don't understand the game. What's going to happen is, because I need y'all to hear me, what's going to happen is we're going to wake up one day and realize the black media outlets have gone away because if 2 buckets of revenue don't exist, they're dead. Subscriptions and advertising.
That's right.
If they take the advertising and we don't subscribe, there will be no show.
That's right.
Or radio show.
Or
Or TV
information.
show.
That's right.
Or digital show. Or magazine. Or newspaper. Which now means we're left to ask somebody else, can you please cover our story?
That's right.
Can you please put on different voices? And that means we're going to have numerical numbers, a demographic shift, and asking somebody else, can you please cover us, Greg?
I was going to say, Roland, this ties to everything we've been talking about from the beginning of this show to now. Again, 1861, 1862, the Contraband Acts. South Carolina and in Mississippi, you see blacks take these plantations and move over. When these white boys collaborated, and Dr. Malveaux, Julian, you said it perfectly, predatory capitalism. When they opened up the Sea Islands for investors, the Northerners came down to buy up all the land. The blacks who had saved enough money to do this, let's call them the subscribers in land to make the parallel. They were able to buy a little bit of land, but here's where it came in. The plantations that were bought up, what the northern white boys did was say this: we want to own the land, but we will hire you to stay down here and work the land. In fact, we'll pay you to work the land. So what's the parallel? You're describing an era when they can't get around black content, but they want to own the black. They want us to work on these media plantations.
Which is why I call it, in politics, political sharecropping.
Absolutely.
And this is called media sharecropping.
Media sharecropping.
So like when I was on CNN, I literally had a major executive tell me when I launched my ascot and bow tie line and I had my others up, he said, y'all, this was a quote. Now, you know, if you were full-time here, you couldn't be doing all that stuff.
Exactly.
And this is what I said. And that's why I'll never be full-time here.
Right.
Because my multiple revenue streams is what gave me the freedom to say what I wanted to say on air.
That's right.
Because they did not control all my money.
That's right.
And
Final comment.
The issue is control. The issue is really about control. And we can look through history and talk about control. And the challenging thing right now is that there's so many stories, Roland, that you bring to the air, like the crazy-ass white people, but other stories, which we don't see elsewhere, which in terms of all kinds of things we don't see elsewhere. We need to know about what's going on in our nation around the exploitation of black people, and the New York Times ain't go cover it.
See my shirt?
Yes, value black people.
That's the bottom line.
First, I'll put your hands down so they can see the shirt.
That's,
You're like, see my shirt?
No problem.
We can't really see the shirt.
I
but
was-
cover it up.
I was going to remove an ultimately.
I got
Next
you.
time I'm gonna
But
wear a T-shirt.
the bottom line is that black people need to unlearn the myth of white supremacy, purge from that myth, and learn to value black people at all costs.
Yeah.
That's what because as I said earlier, and this is relevant to everything that we've been talking about, including you even getting more subscribers, which you deserve to get, is that we question it if it's black. We question its relevance. We question whether it has value. When Robert Johnson sold BET to become the CEO, remember that?
Right.
He sold it,
Yeah.
and they let him stay there.
Rich sharecropper is still a sharecropper.
Exactly. Some black people thought, ooh, because now he know he gonna get paid. It's
But
like,
hold up. But for those black people, he actually got paid in the sale. And but see, even with that, because and I get, we think differently when it's like I understand the power of media, but here's what I also explain to people. Okay. BET got sold for $3.3 billion. John Malone got 1/3 of that. Bob and Sheila Johnson got that. Bob and Sheila Johnson through BET created more black millionaires than any other black company in history.
Yes, they did.
Second, by selling the company, they now actually employ more people through the company. The multiple companies they own than just BET. Now, I totally understand the value of media. What I also want, and we'll do this deconstruction a whole nother day, walking black people through what selling also means when you take that capital and now can do other things.
That's good.
So I'm gonna do that another day.
But let me finish this point.
So I'm gonna do another day. But finish your point.
Okay.
But I got to deconstruct this Kevin Hart, Lil Nas X. Go ahead.
Sure. But there's a difference between system success and black cultural success.
Oh, I got you. I understand.
Yeah.
There's a difference because if you become a bunch of neutral black millionaires instead of black people who do what Jews do and Asians do to make sure they're supporting legacy and building black people and building more cultural legacy of self-love and self-respect so the rest of the children can love themselves, that's different than...
Which hold up.
I'm almost finished.
Real quick, like I really got to go next up, but go real quick.
But if people interrupt me, then I can't finish.
Come on.
When Bob had that station, they had news. They were what I call trance-breaking, black-focused news shows with, I forgot the name.
I got it. I got Lead Story.
They got rid of all of that.
All that Teen Summer,
and it's still gone. You have been the only consistent news source that had syndication in the country. They got rid of
Right, because his whole deal was entertainment is more important than news.
But
he said it.
My closing comment is that trans-breaking work for black people, getting us out of the anti-black mythology and the white supremacy mythology is equally important, if not more important,
I agree.
than just becoming successful in this system.
Which is why, again, we'll do another day, but I'll break down what Robert Smith is doing, who's worth $5 billion, and how he is also doing that thing with things that he is funding, that he is actually controlling. That'll be another deconstruction. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. So great, it's a great camera work. So Gerald Albright was in Virginia. I shot that video last year, and so we got some other stuff we're gonna be showing y'all. But that's Gerald Albright, one of the folks performing Luxe Jazz Experience in Cabo, November 7th through the 11th. I am gonna be there, folks. We'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered at Thursday and Friday. It's gonna be a phenomenal opportunity, folks, listening for you to have top-notch music and libations, as alcohol, and of course golf and spa and wellness. We have the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos, nestled in the Sea of Cortez and the Celebrity Playground of Los Cabos. It's a wonderful experience, the second annual Ultimate Jazz Getaway for folks who appreciate that music. It's going to be a phenomenal time, luxury accommodations. Again, as we said, great food, great drink, golf, spa, health, wellness, all kinds of stuff we'll be doing there. And of course, the various things taking place include many concerts, the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch, Jazz Sunset Cruise. Some of the confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry, Gerald Albright, as I said, Alex Bunyan, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles, and more. If you want to see the whole lineup, go to lifeluxejazz.com, L-I-F-E-L-U-X-E jazz.com, L-I-F-E-L-U-X-E jazz.com. And if you're wondering, this venture, it is a black-owned venture, just so y'all know that. And so I'm one of the ambassadors. I'll be there. A birthday celebration for me. We're going to have a great time. So I want y'all to go to the website, check out the packages, and look, it's going to be cold in November on the East Coast. So y'all can come hang out in Cabo for 4 days so we can have a grand time. So really looking forward to making that happen. LifeLuxeJazz.com, LifeLuxeJazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.